Hello, Art 1 students. Today we're going to talk a little bit about different ways that you can do the Cubism project. So the very first step of the Cubism project is that you create a realistic drawing of something. Now we're going to take this drawing and we're going to make it more abstract. We're going to make it reflect Cubism. So we learned about a couple different types of Cubism this week, and we're going to kind of take this image and make it the two different types of Cubism that we covered. Those words were synthetic and analytic. So I have a little cheat sheet here on my ECOT tablet that is going to tell me a little bit about the different types of Cubism here. So on the screen we have analytic and synthetic. So analytic Cubism, you can see here, is more muted than synthetic. So the characteristics that make up analytic here are many right angles, multiple views of the object, an analysis of form, that's how we get the word analytic, and simplified colors. So let's look at that image again. This is an example of analytic Cubism. So we can see there are lots of straight lines, lots of right angles, as it says, very muted colors. It's sort of a beige palette. Basically some browns, mostly this sort of grayish, brownish beige, and some black lines that really give it hard edges. It almost looks like it's shattered glass or ripped up very straight pieces of paper. So I'm going to look at this image and think about ways that I can make it reflect analytic Cubism first. So I've picked some muted colors here. I've got this sort of yellow, mustard yellow, I guess, a dark color like almost black, brown, and then a little bit of a reddish brown to sort of get that muted palette and still have a little bit of color. So the first thing that I notice about this image, if I want to reflect Cubism using this image, is that it's got a lot of these hard lines. So I want to think about how I can incorporate hard lines into this design right here. So I'll just go ahead and start sketching on my paper and looking at the basic shape of my subjects. Just going to start sort of adding these different lines and shapes that you can kind of see in the analytic Cubism, how there's just sort of like these extra shattery lines. And I'm going to think about also what shapes I had here on the first drawing while I do this. So again, not to completely throw it out the window, we do want them to resemble each other in some way. And see in the background we've got lots of different shapes as well. So even though the sort of the features of the person stop here, we're going to go in and add some things into background. So we've got that background going just like this image does. So you want to remember to fill in your whole composition. Remember, this is the most important subject, but we also need to have something going on in the background to really to make it really reflect analytic Cubism. So now that I have my basic shapes, now I'm going to add some color. And remember, it's muted colors because we're analytic Cubism. So we're going to look at the muted colors here and see they've added a little bit of shading. And I'm going to go ahead and do that as well. it more or less. An analytic cubist piece, you can tell because it's shattered in a bunch of pieces. We've got the shading, we've got the sort of muted colors, but we can still see the subject, so we can still kind of see what it reflects. Let's look at it against the original here. So there we go. That's an analytic cubist version of my dog Dakota. All right, this time we're going to look at synthetic. How can we turn this picture of a dog into synthetic cubism? So synthetic cubism has decorative shapes, brighter colors, collage sometimes. It emphasizes combination, so combining different materials, different points of view sometimes, and smooth and rough surfaces as well sometimes. I'm really going to pay attention to decorative shapes, brighter colors, as my main focus here for synthetic. So you can kind of see in this image that we've got these very simplified shapes. It's almost like they, almost like they did just rip it out of paper, the different shapes that make up these people in this picture. So I'm going to work on making my synthetic version of this drawing next. So for this one, I've chosen brighter colors, because remember, synthetic, brighter colors, they're important. And I'm going to actually try breaking this into different shapes. So I know I don't have a lot going on in my background, so I think I'm going to add something interesting to that. But really looking at the face here, and how can I break that into simplified shapes? So there you have it, a synthetic version of the dog drawing. So you can see the simplified shapes, bright colors, the interesting pattern in the background. So very, very different from our original, but you can still see that it's resembling the same thing. So I borrowed some shapes from here and simplified them and really changed the colors a lot. Different, of course, than our analytic version. So you can see shattered glass effects, simplified colors, lots of right angles, lots of shading, and then the very, very colorful, simplified shapes synthetic version. So good luck on your project this week and have fun.